Hello and welcome to another episode of Soulwise with me, Semele Sherry. And in this episode, I'm sharing a personal story of some of my own healing and shadow work that I've been doing and what I've discovered through that. And this is called Freedom Through Relationship. I've been on a self-healing and soul growth path for more than 30 years now, and there are always more layers to explore. Recently, I've been working on understanding freedom through relationship, in this case, my closest relationship with my life partner. About a year ago, my partner George discovered he had ADHD. This new knowledge was both a relief and a challenge. It opened up a whole new perspective on the sticky patches in our relationship we kept cycling around. It meant I could let go of a lot of painful assumptions I'd been making about how he felt about me. And it meant I had to choose to recommit to this new relationship, where this time I knew exactly what I was letting myself in for. Fast forward to today, and we're now going to couples therapy to work through some of the more entrenched patterns that are more tricky to disentangle from. As part of this, we're both individually exploring our own inner lives, so we're more able to respond lovingly and patiently to each other's shadows, inner children, and in George's case, biology that I just don't have. Along the way, I stumbled across Richard Rudd's excellent work with The Gene Keys, and I'll put a link to that book below, which provides another window into astrology for self-awareness. According to The Gene Keys, my higher purpose is liberation, described as a consciousness of the illusion that there is any separation from source, and therefore that there is no real individual freedom. By surrendering to and merging with the whole, by understanding and embodying interdependence, I can release a fear-based grasping for individuality and so embody more of my higher self. My higher self is the me who knows I'm always a part of Source, with access to limitless love, peace, joy, and vibrant life force energy. Those very things I can be afraid of losing if I enmesh too closely with someone else. Immediately, this made me think of and remember a poem I'd written 10 years ago, back in 2014, not realizing then that I was tapping into a major tension and dilemma within my own being. I was amazed once more at how we always have this deep inner knowing about ourselves and what needs healing that's often held subconsciously. I revisited that poem again today and added another 11 lines to expand on that push-pull effect of two seemingly contradictory desires. And I'm going to read it to you now, this updated version of the poem. It's called Tidal, and I'll also place a link to the written version in the description of this podcast or YouTube video, depending on where you're listening. So here we are. I'm going to read to you Tidal. Now, I wrote this poem, as I said, in 2014. I was watching the sea in a sort of meditative, soft focus way at Widemouth Bay near Bude in Cornwall, when most of this poem just popped into my head, pretty much fully formed. It was almost as if someone else wrote it through me. Of course, as I've mentioned, looking back now, I think that was my inner being telling me what was going on within me that I was seeing in the pattern of the waves. So I then revisited it when I wrote this article and I've added the last lines. So here is the poem, Tidal. The waves race to embrace the shore, stretching themselves out, pulling themselves thin like reaching ghosts, as if they know. As if they know that the same desire driving them to individuate upon the sand will draw them back inexorably to the swallowing sea, the overwhelming ocean. And so it is with me, thirsting for autonomy, while consciousness demands surrender to the boundless all. Liberation lies this way. The solution is dissolving, merging with more. As my shoreline recedes, the current breathes me further out to the surprising peace and higher purpose of becoming the union I feared. So I wanted to share this poem and the truth it holds again now, because I can see this dynamic playing out in so many personal relationships. This tension between longing for closeness and intimacy, but also fearing being consumed by it and losing yourself in it at the same time. But how can I possibly get lost when I and the other are already part of the same great one of all that is? There's nothing to protect or defend myself against. That thinking only places limits and restrictions on myself and my relating, blocking the natural flow of energy. I can keep my heart and mind open and allow the undammed stream of love and life to move through us. A day after I'd been reading about my higher purpose gene key 39, I came across this post from Human Reform Politics on a friend's Facebook feed, which said, "The greatest illusion of modern society is that freedom is purely individualistic, when in reality our freedom is deeply connected to the well-being of everyone." Now widen this tension in one-to-one relationships and apply it to larger groups of people in families, neighbourhoods, religious groups, political parties, nations, and so on, and you can see how it generates antagonism, protectionism, and warfare. We defend our personal freedom and right to choose, which can then paradoxically maintain the current struggle. When we learn to consider everyone else's rights and well-being, because ultimately theirs and ours are one and the same, just differently expressed. It applies to freedom, to love, to food, to personal expression, and finance, and the distribution of those. The list goes on, it's endless, really. So here's a personal example of how I put this understanding to work when addressing issues or disagreements with my partner. George can be very reactive when he feels he's being criticised or rejected. It's common among people with ADHD. He tends to become angry and defensive, which usually triggers withdrawal and closing off from me, who, as an empath, finds discord extremely uncomfortable. What I noticed was if I was able to stay calm, keep my heart soft towards him and my mind open to receiving and really hearing what he had to say, he naturally calmed down. In essence, I conveyed without words that I still love him, even if I don't agree in this moment. I understand my way is not the only way, and that both of us matter in this situation. He can then relax into the field of we, as he no longer feels a need to defend himself, and in return is much more likely to share with honesty and vulnerability. He's also more ready to listen to what I, in inverted commas, have to say. It's so simple, really, but the power of it is incredibly dynamic. You can literally feel the shift of energy in real time, transforming from brick wall bashing to the gentle ease of flowing water. As always, the universe has conspired to provoke me into a situation that accelerates my growth and evolution, which at the same time is also the growth and evolution of George. Both of your beings are enhanced and expanded when you look at it that way. My growth is your growth. Your increased happiness is my increased happiness. My feeling more love is your feeling more love. Your freedom is my freedom. According to Richard's book, Gene Key 39 contains the siddhi or spiritual gift of liberation. As my higher purpose, it makes me a powerful healer, an unblocker and liberator of energy where it's stuck and stagnant, a bringer of transformation. I can crack open limitations and restrictions and expand others into a higher consciousness and a joyful, creative way of being, because I've done it for myself. If, of course, you're ready for it. It has to be a choice, and you'll need to overcome some fear first. I see this as the most impactful contribution I can make to the world right now in my deep work with clients. I am freeing up more energy of love, life, joy, freedom and generosity that has no perceived limits and so has no need to be owned, hoarded or protected individually. Imagine a world operating from that foundation. In addressing my own shadow around close relationships, the universe also gave me the gift of further validating my chosen soul path of work. Another message that we flourish together by considering each other. Of course we do, because we all are. We never have been separate or apart. So that's it for this week's episode. I hope that's helped you, because I really do see that relating to each other, connecting with each other, becoming interdependent is the only way forward now. It has to be the way forward. It's what we've moved so far away from that understanding. And that's caused us to make the mess and end up in the situation that we're in now. So I hope that that has maybe allowed you to look at your relationships slightly differently and maybe explore your gene keys as well. You can get a free reading, a very simple reading, and then there are websites that tell you what the gene keys mean. Was a real eye-opener for me, looking at things slightly more deeply. Although some of this I knew from astrology, the way these gene keys are worded is extremely profound. It speaks on a very deep level. So there you go, a little project for you maybe. And of course, as you know, healing yourself is helping to heal the world. Sending you my love and many blessings as always. Until next time. Goodbye for now.